So when I first started moving towards the Quad Cortex, I thought eventually it was going to replace my pedal board. That was the plan, to simplify everything. Move more functionality into one system. Reduce the amount of gear I was carrying around. And honestly, on paper, that makes a lot of sense. But somewhere in the middle of all of that process, I've changed my mind. And the reason had nothing to do with the Quad Cortex. The more time I spent with my current pedal board, the more I realized I didn't want to take it apart. In the last couple of videos, I've talked about this current pedal board that I use in worship and at home quite a bit. And in the most recent one, I talked about why I thought I might be ready to move on from it. But the reality of it is this board represents a couple of years of experimentation, of revisions, and changes. And somewhere along the way, it finally became what I wanted it to become. Not perfect, but intentional. And like we talked about, everything has a reason for being in here. The drives, the ambience, the workflow, and even the way I interact with it. At some point, I realized I really wasn't excited about replacing it. I was excited about having another option, and that completely changed the direction of this project. I guess my breakthrough moment was when I realized something simple. Different rigs solve different problems. I had been treating the Quad Cortex like it needed to become everything. My worship rig, my recording rig, my travel rig, my pedal board, my utility board. I know it's got a great reputation, but that's a lot of pressure to put on one piece of gear. Once I stopped thinking that way, everything got simpler. My current board, which we're calling kind of a hybrid board because it's mostly analog, but has some digital on it, it just needs to stay what it already is. It's already doing exactly what I built it to do. Creative, tactile, interactive, the kind of board that just makes me want to sit down and play. And the Quad Cortex, it can become something completely different. Portable, consistent, streamlined, and utility focused. So instead of rebuilding my current board, I've decided to build a second rig, a much smaller rig, and one that's much more focused. One that's built around portability, consistency, and simplicity. Not because those things are better, but because they're useful. Once I made that decision, the board design became surprisingly straightforward. The goal wasn't to recreate my hybrid board. More of the goal was to build something that solves a different problem. The foundation for the build is a Temple Audio Solo 18. I wanted something compact without feeling cramped. On this board, the Quad Cortex naturally becomes the centerpiece. For expression control, I'm using the Layla Dual Expression. Moving away from the OEM power supply that came with the Quad Cortex, power is coming from the Chox DC7. And from the beginning, I wanted integrated power and integrated I/O. The idea was to build something clean, compact, and easy to grab. But about this point in the build, I realized there were a couple more pieces I wanted before I called this board finish. To actually use the Chox DC7 power supply the way I wanted to power the Quad Cortex, I needed the Chox crux adapter. And after getting everything laid out, I also decided I wanted to use Temple's quick release mounting plates instead of using everything on a dual lock. So I hit pause for a few days, waited for those parts to arrive, and then came back to finish the board. One thing that surprised me through the process was how quickly the design started coming together. And ironically, once I stopped trying to make this board replace something else, it became much easier to design. Looking back, the pause in the build actually reinforced that idea. It gave me time to step back, finish it the way I actually wanted, and keep the project focused on its original purpose. One thing I've learned over time, and that I've had to remind myself, is that simplicity isn't really about having less gear. It's about having fewer things competing for your attention. That's really what this board is trying to accomplish: less clutter, less redundancy, more intentionality. There was another realization that came from all of this. My current board actually lives in a large tweed case, and honestly, carrying it around feels a little bit like carrying around an old amp. And that's not a complaint. It's the result of building a board that does exactly what I wanted it to do. But it also highlighted an opportunity. The Quad Cortex rig doesn't need to be like that. It can be smaller, lighter, faster, and it can be easier to deploy. So this is where the project ended up. Not as a replacement, but as a companion. My older hybrid board and this new Quad Cortex board, they're not competing with each other. They're solving different problems, different workflows, different situations, different jobs. And I think that's exactly what they should be. And honestly, I think that's a much healthier way to think about gear. Not as replacements, and not even as winners or losers. Just tools designed for different purposes. One thing you may have already noticed is I don't have a designated tuner on this board. Honestly, I'd love to have some room for something like a Peterson. But one of the trade-offs in keeping this board compact is deciding what really earns its place. For now, I'm going to rely on the Quad Cortex tuner and really spend some time living with it. If sometime down the road I find myself really missing that dedicated tuner, I'll revisit it and see where we need to go. But at this time, I don't really want to have to worry about trying to fix a problem that I haven't even experienced yet. The next step, it's actually using it, playing through it, recording it, taking it to rehearsal, taking it to church. And honestly, that's where gear either proves itself or it doesn't. The idea is one thing, and the real world experience is something else. And eventually, I would love to explore and compare the experience that I have with both of these rigs. I actually had a comment in the last video that they would love to see a comparison of the ACS1 from Walrus Audio back to the Quad Cortex and some of those amp models. So there's that opportunity, not to decide which one's better, but to better understand what both of these rigs actually do well. But for now, I think this is the right direction.